Hi guys. Have you noticed you're not as flexible as you used to be and definitely not as flexible as you want to be? Do you wake up in the morning feeling stiff and sore and have to walk that off? After long hours at the computer, do you also find you're stiff and have to get up and walk around just to stretch it out? Increased stiffness leads to inflexibility, which can lead to loss of mobility, especially as we age. So if you're concerned with any of these issues, then you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Dr. Tom Neblett with Four Points Family Chiropractic. Welcome to our monthly Living to 100 webinar series. Every month we bring you different health-related topics to help you and your family live healthier lives. This month we're going to be discussing the advantages and importance of stretching as part of your daily health and fitness routine. Loss of flexibility is often a consequence of our sedentary lifestyles. When we sit at a desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, especially when we're not getting as much exercise as we need to get, then our muscles tend to shorten and atrophy. The stiffness and soreness that accompany this often takes away our motivation to exercise, which leads to more stiffness, which takes away more of our effort to exercise, and that creates a whole downward spiral. A big issue for many people as they age is this loss of mobility, which over time, if it continues, can even lead to loss of independence. So it's important to deal with this now, early in our lives, to maintain flexibility that'll benefit you again, not only now, but also down the road as well. Now, stretching not only improves flexibility and range of motion, but it can help to relieve and even prevent pain issues, particularly in the back and legs. It can also play a role in improving posture. It can help to relieve stress that accumulates in our muscles, and it can calm our mind and help to decrease tension headaches. So if you're dealing with headaches, it's a good thing to start. I'm going to show you about a dozen stretches with the help of my assistant, Margaret. But before I do, I know many people who want to begin a stretching regimen do so because they need pain relief. If pain is the reason you're considering starting to stretch, it's important to know what the source and cause of that pain is. We can help with that. If you'll call our office at 512-345-9355, mention the word stretch, you'll receive an initial consultation, examination, and any x-rays, along with a follow-up appointment to review your findings with one of our doctors. And we'll do all that for the discounted rate of only $67. So that's a $280 discount off our normal $347 charge for these services. Now, one of the places that extended periods of sitting creates problems is in our low back and our legs. When you sit for long periods of time, the muscles in your hip flexors, your hamstrings tend to shorten and tighten, and that's a common source of low back pain. So I'm going to have Margaret demonstrate a few stretches for you around specific muscles that often are affected by sitting. I want to encourage you, if this affects you, to go back through this video later if you want to see the stretches that we utilize. It'll be posted on our website, www.fourpointschiropractic.com, or if you contact me at Dr. Neblett at fourpointschiropractic.com, and that doctor is spelled DR, not spelled out, then I'm happy to send you an outline of all the stretches that we're going to be demonstrating today. So I'm going to have Margaret demonstrate these stretches for us now. Margaret, the first thing I'm going to have you do is lie on your back, please, ma'am. There we go. You did that very well. So the first stretch I want to show you is a double knee to chest stretch. So Margaret, I'm going to have you grab your knees. I want you to pull them to your stretch. Now when you pull your knees to your chest like that, it stretches out those low back muscles very well. Does that feel good, Margaret?
Yes.
Good. All right, now you want to do these stretches for about 15 to 20 seconds. Next thing, Margaret, put both feet on the floor with your knees bent, and I want you to take this foot exactly like that. Now reach between your legs, grab your other leg, pull that forward. This is called a figure four stretch. When you do this stretch, it does a great job of stretching the gluteal muscles, thank you, Margaret, and the upper leg muscles. You would obviously want to do this on both sides. There she is demonstrating that stretch. So these stretches are helpful for the low back. Now the next stretch I want to demonstrate are for the hip flexors. The hip flexors commonly shorten when you sit for long periods of time, and they're a very common source of pain, both in this area as well as in the low back. So Margaret, I want you to lie on your right side for me. So side lying, you're going to reach behind you and grab your foot and pull it up. Now, Margaret, you should feel a stretch all along here. And obviously, the further back you pull your leg, the more stretch you're going to get in that area. So you'd want to stretch that for 15 to 20 seconds and then flip over onto the other side and do the same. You can stay right there, though, Margaret. Now, exactly like she did. Thank you. Now, another common muscle that area that causes people problems is the IT band. We didn't practice this, Margaret, but you want to get in a seated position, and you're going to take, for the purpose of this demonstration, I want you to put both legs straight in front of you, put this foot here, exactly, and then you're going to reach around behind you, exactly, and stretch that way. Now what this does is she should feel a stretch in the upper back as well, but it also stretches the IT band out as well. And again, that's something you're going to want to do both ways. Now, a very, very common area that causes people problem is their hamstrings. So the hamstrings are impacted by sitting as well. So the first exercise, stretch I want you to demonstrate is the hurdler stretch, Margaret. So the hurdler stretch, well, you can go ahead, we'll do the seated toe stretch. Reach out with both hands and grab your toes. So this is going to stretch the hamstring muscles back here. For people who might not be able to reach their toes, you can start by just reaching down your shin as far as you can and holding that position for 15 to 20 seconds and work your way up to that. Another stretch that's very good at helping out with tight hamstrings is the hurdler stretch. So with this exercise, same position, you're going to put this leg back around there, exactly like that. Now here, again, you're going to reach forward as far as you can. You can put both hands forward for me, Margaret. Thank you. And once again, now you're stretching this hamstring muscle. That's an excellent stretch for the hamstrings. And you would want to turn around and do that a second time for the other side. So these are stretches that are excellent for helping stretch out low back muscles that cause problems. You know, one other stretch is a standing calf stretch. So with this exercise, I'm going to have you stand for me, Margaret, facing the chair. You want to get into a standing position, and you're going to put one foot forward and one foot back. There you go. Now with this, you want to keep your foot flat on the floor, and the calf muscles that you're stretching are back here. When you stretch with your legs straight like she has it, you stretch the gastrocnemius muscle. If you bend your knee slightly and stay in that same position, but try to keep your foot flat on the floor with your knee bent, you should feel a different muscle stretch in there. That's the deeper muscle, the soleus muscle. So you want to stretch those muscles in both positions. And again, you want to do that on both sides. All right, so this is a very simple regimen of stretches for your low back. If you or someone that you care about is dealing with pain or stiffness in their low back, hip, or legs, I want to encourage you to take advantage of our special discount that we're offering by coming in to receive a thorough examination and x-rays at that discounted rate of $67. Again, if you call 512-345-9355, we'll set that appointment up for you, check things out, see if there is an issue that needs to be addressed before you start doing these things. Now, another area that we see lots of trouble develop is the upper back and neck area for people that spend a lot of time in front of a computer. You know, one of the things that's been alarming, we see more and more people developing a posture problem called head-forward posture, and that's caused by long periods of looking down at computers. We're seeing it in kids from spending so much time looking down at their screens. There's a condition now called text neck that we did a whole webinar on a few months ago. So I'm going to show you a couple stretches you can use also that will help loosen up those upper back muscles and help combat the effects of text neck. So the first stretch that Margaret's going to demonstrate for us is called the child pose. So Margaret, if you'll like, start down there facing this direction. Thank you, Margaret. You face this way. Okay, or face that way. Put your arms straight out in front of you. So with this, Margaret, you should feel a great stretch right in this area. Okay. This is called child's pose. So if you carry all your tension up in your upper back, it's an excellent exercise you can do. Now, Margaret, I'm going to have you turn around. And I want you to put your elbows here, get into a prayer position. This is called a prayer stretch. Perfect. Now, with this exercise, what's important, number one, you want to keep your low back straight by tucking your pelvis in, and then you're going to try to push your sternum toward the floor when you do that, and that helps to stretch out this whole area up here. So again, if you're somebody who carries your tension up in your upper back, the prayer stretch can be very helpful. Thank you, Margaret. Next, a lot of times our necks become very tight and tense. So one of the best ways to deal with that are with range of motion stretches. These are very simple. The first stretch, Margaret, I want you to do is to look up at the ceiling. And when you do this, you want to go back as far as you can and tighten the muscles in the back of your neck. That helps to stretch that area out. Now look look straight ahead again for me, Margaret, and I want you to try to touch your right ear to your right shoulder. This is a lateral flexion stretch, and then exactly. Now what she's doing here, she's not pulling, she's just using the weight of her arm to lightly stretch the muscles on the opposite side of the neck. You want to do that both ways as well. That helps stretch out neck muscles and relieve tension in the neck. And then the last range of motion stretch to do in that area is going to be rotation stretches. Notice what she did. You turn as far as you can, then you want to take your hand and get a little bit more stretch pushing. If you have TMJ or jaw problems, don't add the hand. Just turn as far as you can. We don't want to injure your jaw while you're doing this. Now, the shoulders commonly become tight and are a part of the problem. So a couple of stretches you can do for the shoulders, cross body stretches. That tends to stretch these back shoulder muscles. Obviously, the harder you stretch that, the more you're going to stretch those muscles. Thanks, Margaret. The other stretch is very helpful. Margaret, I'm going to have you stand for me. Why don't you turn and face away from the camera for a second? I don't have a doorway to demonstrate this in here, but the way this works is called a doorway stretch. So Margaret's going to put her arm straight aside. Imagine that the door sill is right here. What you're going to do is put one foot forward, maintain good posture, and then she's going to push forward through the doorway, forward. And when she does that, it stretches the chest muscles and upper shoulder muscles. That's an excellent, for those of you that notice you've got forward rounded shoulders, that's a very good stretch that you can do. Okay, lastly, when you spend a lot of time at a keyboard, there's a tendency to develop problems in your forearms. A couple of simple stretches to stretch out forearm muscles. First one is called a prayer stretch. You're going to get in a prayer position. You just drop your hands down as far as you can and hold that for 15 to 20 seconds. And that's going to stretch out these muscles in your forearms. And then the opposite stretch of that is to turn your arm over. Exactly. Now that tends to stretch out these muscles in this area. So if you're struggling with forearm pain, wrist pain, carpal tunnel, tennis elbow, or golf elbow, those are excellent stretches you can do to combat that. So we covered upper and lower body stretches. I hope you found these stretches helpful. Thank you, Margaret. You can have a seat. Again, I want to encourage you to implement them in your daily regimen, especially if you're having any of the issues that we talked about. But once again, if you do have an acute or a nagging injury, you need to find out what's causing that. So in order to do that, if you'll call our office, mention the word stretch, we'll set up an initial consultation, examination, and x-rays, and follow that up with time spent with you to review what we find. We'll do that for only $67 if you'll call and mention the word stretch. If you want to implement these stretches and want to go back through them again, which obviously you probably do, you can go to our website, www.fourpointschiropractic.com. There's a Watch a Workshop tab. If you click on the Watch a Workshop tab, we have all our workshops that we've done over the last several years, covering almost any topic you can imagine. You can go there, and you'll see this will be the first webinar sitting on the top of those. That way you can review these. Also, if you'd like to get a list of the stretches that we talked about, if you'll email me, I'll send you that list. That way you have an outline that you can do your workouts by. So I want to thank you once again for joining us today, and I want to thank Margaret for helping out today. She did a great job. Next month, we're going to be doing essentially what we could call part 2 of this series, and we're going to demonstrate exercises to help you improve your posture. All right, the stretches are a part of it, but it's important to strengthen the muscles that need to be strong in order to keep good posture. If you utilize both stretches and exercise, you'll make great strides towards better posture and improved health as a result of that. So once again, thank you to Margaret. Thank you to you guys for watching today. I hope you'll utilize these stretches. Once again, I'm Dr. Tom Neblett on behalf of 4 Points Family Chiropractic, showing you a better way to better health.